Long known for oil wealth, Norway has become the greenest country in the world. 98% of its electricity comes from renewable sources. Norway is a country of extremes where I've come to the land of the midnight sun to find out how this nation has achieved what many other countries continue to consider impossible. Norway's transition to renewable energy did not happen overnight. It has been a decades-long journey fraught with challenges, including the use of money gained through morally questionable means. Today, Norway is addressing a significant hurdle in its sustainability journey, ending the sale of gas cars and getting everyone to switch to electric vehicles. Norway is confident it can achieve this audacious goal in less than 2 years. Can they do it? In the heart of Scandinavia, where nature's grandeur meets technological innovation, a silent revolution is underway. Electric cars are everywhere. Gas stations are turning into charging spots. Oil-rich Norway is steering towards a future that defies the conventional norms of the automotive industry. I'm heading to a used car dealership to see if the sales of fossil fuel-based cars have declined as a result of recent government policies promoting electric vehicles or EVs.
We have used so much blood, sweat, tears in this.
Have you lost customers?
Yeah.
Do you have numbers to give us, like for example in 2020, how many you sold, in 2021?
The best month in 2020 was, I think it was 97 cars.
Okay.
One month
probably.
before COVID.
Okay, before COVID.
The start.
And now in 2022, you haven't had that number?
No, not that close. I think we was on 70, 78. So it's a little bit down, but it's not like...
It's not that bad?
Not that bad. But you will feel it over the year because it's every month it's a little bit lower.
Despite the waning interest in gas cars, Rudaw is confident that his business will stay afloat and can adapt to the new situation. The dealership has already introduced EVs, and a potential buyer is here today. I see that you are interested in buying an electric vehicle. Can you tell us why you want to join thousands, maybe millions other Norwegians who want to buy electric cars?
Well, we've had a petrol-driven car for 10 years now. And we've noticed that the financial situation in Norway with interest and everything, it makes it difficult when your car gets to a certain age and you need to spend a lot of money in repairing it, and then the gas prices as well. So now our car said goodbye, and we thought this is the time for an electrical car. I think there's a change, like everything else in the society is changing. But still, the electrical costs are lower than the petrol costs. So we need to change our driving habits.
Electric cars dominated the sales charts in Norway by September 2023, with Tesla's Model Y, Volkswagen ID.4, and Skoda Enyaq leading the pack. What drives Norwegians to choose electric over conventional cars? What sets them apart from other consumers? To answer those questions, I've come to talk to the leader of the country's largest EV association.
So the Norwegian Parliament, they have set a target that by 2025, only passenger cars shall be zero-emission cars. And to reach that goal, we have a broad policy package. And I would say that the most important policies are at the point of purchase. So in Norway, we have had a very high purchase tax on new cars, and this tax is based on weight and on emissions. And for zero-emission cars, we don't have this registration tax at all. Also, we don't have to pay the value-added tax of 25% when you have an EV. So this makes the EVs able to compete on price when you go to the car dealerships and you want to buy a new car. And that is the most important thing. All the other incentives are also important, but if you can't afford to buy the car, then it's not going to work.
Despite the fact that Norway is very cold and the weather is not optimal for electric vehicles, so many people want to have an electric vehicle. So are there like other factors beside those incentives that, like cultural factors?
I don't think Norwegians are any greener than others, but we have these incentives in place, both when you buy the car, and we have also had exemptions from toll roads, we've had free parking, we've had access to bus lanes, so we've had many incentives, and for some people the access to bus lane was very important in the beginning, for others it has been the toll roads.
With a population of nearly 5.5 million, Norway is a country of extremes where the midnight sun and the polar night create a stark contrast between light and dark. This duality is also reflected in Norway's energy sector, where it plays a dual role as a major oil producer and exporter, while also leading the way in electric vehicle adoption. This all started in the early 1980s. Norway had loads of money from selling oil. Instead of just sitting on it, they decided to use billions to build up their own clean energy, like hydro and wind power. Yep, the cash that once came from polluting the environment was now being used to clean it up and make the future more sustainable. Fast forward to today, Norway not only has plenty of clean energy for itself, but is also sharing some with Germany, which is trying to be less dependent on gas from Russia.
We are exporting a lot of oil and gas, and we're making a lot of money on that. I see the dilemma, definitively, but we do want to reduce emissions in Norway, and the EV policy is an important way to do that. And we haven't been very good at reducing emissions so far, so we really need to step up the game on this.
With over 1.5 million barrels of crude oil per day, Norway is Western Europe's largest oil producer. But the Scandinavian nation exports most of its oil to other countries. Norway does not rely much on oil for its own energy needs. In this forward-looking nation, renewable sources, primarily hydropower, account for 98% of the energy supply. Many people are surprised by Norway's embrace of EVs. It has a largely cold climate where batteries are less efficient than in warmer environments.
It's cold in Norway. The EV always starts even if it's cold. That's a good thing. You do lose range and charging speeds can be slower. But still the EV works very well also in sub-zero conditions here in Norway.
What message do you think Norway should send or is sending to other oil-rich countries with the fact that it's becoming less reliant on oil?
When it comes to transport, we are going to electrify, and this is going to happen all over the world. It's happening for passenger cars, we've done it for ferries, we're doing it for vans, and we're starting to do it also for heavy-duty vehicles.
As Norway has largely moved away from fossil fuels, it's no surprise that it's one of the cleanest places in the world. According to the widely recognized Environmental Performance Index, EPI, jointly developed by Yale University and the World Economic Forum, Norway ranks 5th with an air quality score of 92%. While EVs do contribute to better air quality, how significant is their impact in fighting climate change?
Now a bit more than 20% of all the cars we have in Norway are fully electric. And if you look at the larger cities like here in Oslo, it's around 35%. And that is really making an impact on the air quality also in the cities.
So have you noticed the city become less noisy? And
if you walk around the streets in Oslo and you will notice it's less noisy. It's also worth to mention that the city of Oslo are doing a lot, not only on EVs, but also on, they're electrifying the buses, they have electrified the ferries, the tram has always been electric. So all public transport in Oslo will be electric from this year, and that also helps reduce both the pollution and the sound.
And do you believe you will reach the goal by 2025 when like fossil fuel cars will be banned?
We're not banning it, we are making it a lot more expensive to pollute and less expensive not to pollute.
How significant is the impact of EV adoption on climate change?
We know that transportation as a whole represents about 30% of the gas emissions 30%. Among these figures of 30%, the road transportation, so what we are really interested in today, accounts for 53%. So as a result, 16%, around 16% of gas emissions will be reduced by the adoption of electric vehicles.
There was an interesting report which was released by the International Energy Agency, which looked back from 2010 to 2020. It says that the positive impact on climate change of electric cars was 6 times as less as the negative impact of SUVs and larger cars. So basically what we're doing is we are having larger and larger cars which compensate the benefits of electric cars. So basically, if we don't do something to reduce the size of a car, the benefits of electric cars will be negligible. If you look at an electric car today, 80% of batteries, they are produced in China with coal. If the car obviously and the battery, which emits as much CO2 as the car when it's produced, if it's produced in a country with coal, obviously the benefit is going to be limited.
The source of the battery materials and electricity for EVs affects how eco-friendly they are. EVs may not be much better or even worse than conventional vehicles if they use batteries made from coal and electricity from non-renewable sources. But a new kind of battery that uses sodium instead of lithium could be a game changer. Sodium-ion batteries are a new type of rechargeable battery that uses sodium instead of lithium, the material used in the battery of most EVs today. China recently produced the first EV powered by sodium-ion battery. The car can drive up to 250 kilometers on a single charge, which is nearly half the range of most lithium-powered EVs. However, sodium-ion batteries could lower the price of EVs significantly. Here are some pros and cons of sodium-ion compared to lithium-ion batteries. Pros: sodium is abundant and can be extracted from salt water. Sodium is cheaper and more accessible than lithium. Sodium-ion batteries are safer and less likely to catch fire. Cons: sodium-ion batteries have lower energy density and shorter range. Sodium-ion batteries are still in the early stage of development and not widely used. Chinese EV companies are gaining ground in Europe, posing a growing challenge to American rivals like Tesla. They bring a diverse range of stylish and innovative EVs, reshaping the competition in the region.
This is actually our newest model here in Norway, and this is the G9 and our SUV, as you just said. So I think all the functions you get in this car and the equipment is really sought after in the Norwegian market. So you have everything from the four-wheel drive, the air suspension, heat pump, and the tow bar.
And I think this is what sets you apart from other brands like Tesla. They don't have any SUV. They have crossovers, but they don't have any SUV as big as this car.
Yeah, I think this car has hit the market really well.
There's a growing interest in this car. You're saying people come and see it and they love it.
We can feel it, or we can see it in our customers also. Before we had the P7 and the G3i, which was like a smaller SUV, but with this one we see a lot of more interest. We have at least 3 different screens here. So I have one in front of me and one main screen, and the passenger gets his own screen also.
And let's say you're driving the car and I'm the passenger. Can I watch whatever I want?
Yeah, so from the side, for me, I can't see the screen really well. So that will make it so that it don't interrupt me, or
it doesn't distract you.
Yeah, it doesn't distract me from the driving. So then you can watch movies, videos, whatever you want from that screen.
What about the range? How many kilometers can one drive on one charge?
For the four-wheel drive, it's 520 kilometers.
How long does it take to get a full charge? Let's say from 10% to 100%.
I can give you maybe from 10% to 80%, because we did that test 2 weeks ago. It took 21 minutes.
I'm at a charging station in Oslo where electric vehicles are becoming more and more popular. Can you talk about your experience driving an electric vehicle compared to gas cars? Is it different? Is it better?
Very different, because this is a performance car. It goes to 100 kilometers in 3.5 seconds. So when you put on the gas, it really drives very fast. So and at the traffic light, you're always at front. You are always the first. It's another way of driving.
Climate protesters in Germany marched through the streets on Friday, and more demonstrations are expected around the world this weekend.
One of the reasons why democracies are shifting to renewable energy sources is the rise of an environmentally cautious public demanding action on climate change. Oil is mainly used by the transport sector, which accounts for nearly 60% of the global oil demand. If this demand goes away and the transport sector adopts electric cars, boats, trams, and even planes, how would this affect the oil-producing nations?
We have a parallel movement to ban plastic in the ecological movements at the moment. So you have to really foresee a very big shift between these years and 2050, where 2050 is the end date for being really neutral in carbon emission. This means that all the oil and gas industry should really do something else. We should really stop burning stuff. This is the slogan of some friends in the UK named Fully Charged, if you know them. Stop burning stuff, yes. And oil and gas companies, first of all, will not get any more investments from investment banks, investment companies. So the money will be very difficult to find. Exploration of new mines will be very difficult in the future. They really have to shift to renewable energy. And they can do that. You have so much solar in the Middle East that you should really exploit that solar energy. The solar will save the planet.
Here is my key takeaway from Norway's widespread adoption of EVs. Oil-producing nations should be alarmed by the rising demand for EVs, which are more eco-friendly and cost-effective than oil-based vehicles. They should follow Norway's example and invest in solar and other renewable energy sources, as well as diversify their economy to prepare for a future with less oil dependence. The COVID-19 pandemic showed how vulnerable oil markets are to global disruptions when the oil price plunged below zero. How would a country like Iraq, which relies heavily on oil revenues, cope with such a scenario? Until next time, goodbye.